Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. It is a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. On this episode, we are joined by Trey Styles, author of Black Boy Arise, and the host of the Black Man Talk podcast.
Maybe I am cutting people off a little too early on in my life. Maybe I'm not giving the women enough a chance. Dealing with opened up to my realized that I was right all along. And I was like, well, you know yourself. I said, well, you know yourself. You know better. You know something that's not your style. Don't deviate from that. Because some people have to come back from that. Some people lost their life. So I said, you know your purpose. Stick with your purpose. You know, some things you may not see as a reward early on. It pays off in the end. But the beautiful thing about that is I'm glad when I did deviate somewhat, and I never went too far, I'm glad I did that because now I know that I was on the right path all along.
Yo guys, this is Olufemi from the Sample Lounge and you're listening to the Woke by Accident podcast.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. Today we have a special guest, Trey Styles, author of Black Boy Arise and host of the podcast Black Man Talk. Trey is back on the show to chop it up with us today. You may remember Trey had joined us on episodes 103 and 69, and he's back from the great state of Michigan. Welcome to the show, Trey.
Thanks for having me, and I'm happy to be back.
Yes, definitely. When Trey was on before, he shared a very personal story with us that involved him dealing with depression. And because mental health is important to the Black community and the Black family, we are going to revisit this topic, this particular topic, which can impact your mental health. And so, in particular, relationships, which may or may not require necessary endings. And so, shout out to Trey who brought us this topic to get into today. I relate this topic to, well, actually, what was your inspiration? We'll start there before we get deeper.
Well, my inspiration for the topic of necessary endings was just because of life and how life sometimes throws you a curveball. How life sometimes turns out in ways you never thought it would turn out. How people change, how things change, like the seasons, like the weather. Me personally, I've noticed in my lifetime that I've met people and I thought that these people would be my friend for life, or or if it's my cousin or brother, sister, whatever it may be, whatever the relationship was. I thought we would be close for life. If we were close, nothing would ever change that. If we was friends, nothing would ever change that. I thought we would be tight forever. But what I learned through experience, and sometimes it was a harsh experience, is that people can mean well in the beginning and they can change. And that's the only thing in this world that's constant is change. And I just think it's so important to understand that sometimes an ending of a relationship is not always bad. Sometimes it's best for the both of you. Sometimes it's only best for one party involved because the other party doesn't appreciate you. They take you for granted. And so that's what really inspired it for me. And I could say it was, for me, it was clear. It was a couple friendships and it was a romantic relationship, that I was involved in that I saw was necessary to end. And sometimes you don't see that it's necessary to end it until you end it, because when you end it, you end it. When you end it, you don't see the flaws, you don't see the problems. But sometimes it's a break in a relationship. Sometimes it's a pause. Sometimes, okay, I'm gonna take a break from this and that, as you have time to think to yourself and be like, wait a minute, like since I stopped dealing with this person only for a couple of days now. I stopped talking to this person for a couple of days, and I'm already seeing a change. I'm already feeling better. I'm already able to see things clear.
Okay.
So that's what inspired me to talk about this topic of necessary endings.
Okay, that's good. You mentioned how you felt when the person was in your life and when they were not in your life. I kind of dug into that concept, the concept of people coming into your life for a season. And so I found some information. This actually comes from Chat GPT. So you guys check out Chat GPT if you don't know. But if you know, you know. So what I found, the concept of seasonal friends, it may be harsh, but it is a reality of life. Like the seasons change in nature, so do relationships that we have with people. Seasonal friends are also those individuals who come into our lives for a specific period of time, and then they shared experience with us, and then their time with us comes to an end. Just like Trey mentioned, it can be someone you met at school, a friend or romantic relationship, even during a vacation, or even on social media. A lot of us have connected through these different social media platforms. I know I've made some really, really great acquaintances and really folks who I call friends, on social media platforms. So these types of relationships could be seasonal. These friends may have been close to us during this season, but as soon as it ends, they gradually fade out of our lives. And this is from ChatGPT. It's important to understand that not everyone we meet is meant to stay in our lives forever. Some people come into our lives to teach us something new about ourselves or the world around us. They may help us grow in ways that we never thought possible or provide comfort during tough times. And then I found some other information from a yoga master, Ram Jain, and he likened these seasons of nature to these types of seasons emotional seasons. So according to him, the season of winter represents sadness, heartbreak, loneliness. The season of spring represents hope and new beginnings, opportunities. The season of summer represents signs of growth and need for protection and an abundance of distractions. Interesting. Shout out to those distractions, right? And
Yeah.
then the season of fall represents successes and achievements and failures, which, so, I know a lot of people that are actually enjoying some personal successes. So, shout out to those folks. And then, just looking back, heartbreak, sadness, loneliness, sickness. I mean, these are things that we've all experienced. What do you think about those seasons and that concept of seasons?
I think it's 100%
Hmm.
because I've one of the most, I'm a fan of hip hop. One of my favorite artists of all time in hip hop is Tupac. But one I like the most right after him is like Nas. And one thing Nas said in the song was called "The Message." He said, "A thug changes, love changes, and best friends become strangers." And what I love about that is because I've experienced all those things,
Hmm.
and it's definitely, it definitely is 100%. They say relationships can be seasonal because there's people I was just cool with in college at times, and like I was like, okay, this is a real cool person, and you may have exchanged numbers and stuff like that. And think, okay, we're gonna be hanging out, we're gonna be cool. But right after the semester's over, sometimes you might call a few times. They may or may not answer. You may text a few times, they may or may not answer, and
Hmm.
you like, okay, well, that was what it was. But I've had that
Okay.
happen. I've had that happen though. Just like the people you studied with, like we were
Hmm.
cool. We were cool while we were there together. But after that, everybody just went on with their life, and which sometimes makes you think, was it ever really a real real friendship or relationship? Maybe it was just sometimes it was you was there and they was there, and that was just what it was. Sometimes we think things are more significant than what they really are. So the seasonal thing, I definitely get that. But I
Yeah.
would say, like, when people say like seasonal, because I don't necessarily look at something that's seasonal when it's been somebody that's been in your life for years and years. To me, that's not seasonal. That's not
Mm-hmm.
seasonal. But someone who you meet, like, maybe a few months. It could be somebody you might have a fling with. Everybody out there, you could be a fling, a rendezvous, whatever it might be. You
Okay.
know, it could be somebody you meet at work. Y'all cool. For a time being, somebody you meet at school.
Hmm.
Somebody you meet at certain festivities you go to. You always see them, and you just be cool. I know people who went on trips like on cruises, and they said they met these people that was from I'm from Detroit. Let's say the people from Chicago, and they exchange
Mhm.
numbers. It's like we exchanged numbers. We know we wasn't finna call each other, but we just did just because it was at that time. So those relationships, like those type of things, are like seasonal to me. And that's
Mhm.
definitely makes sense. But like relationships like that's more significant, even if it's a year relationship or a couple years. Those are not what I call seasonal relationships. I think it's a little more deeper than that. Sometimes it's you know people growing apart. Some people changing.
Mhm.
Some people seeing people for who they really are. Some people
Mhm.
realize this person was never really your friend. This person was never really in love with you, or this person never really
Right.
cared. You was there because some of these people looked at you as prey and they was predators, and they realized that they've been preying on people for so long they saw you as easy prey. And
Mhm.
the sad thing about that is you might have really meant well towards those people, but all along they looking at you as a sucker because of your empathy. And one thing I had to learn, I always say, my empathy is my greatest strength and it's my greatest weakness. And one thing I had to learn in
Ooh.
a few years is I had to set up a lot more boundaries. And like, and for me personally, like in romantic relationships, friendships, you know, you've known me for like a short time now. I would say about 2 years now, going on 2 years,
Yeah.
and you can tell that when I care about people, I care. Just how things we talked about, but a lot of people look at that as a weakness. Just because you have compassion. A lot of
Right.
people look at you as a sucker because you're willing to help them. A lot of times we hear women talk about their aspects of men trying to use, but I can tell you firsthand, women use men as well.
Okay.
So just to give you a few examples. Like I remember I was working at this job for a short time, and it was this lady I trained her. I had trained.
Okay.
Yeah, working. I had only been there for a short time, but I trained her and I was open. I helped her. I showed her the ropes and everything. I wasn't trying to hit on her. Didn't want nothing from her. Wasn't trying to be slick and try to play cool and get it. None of that. But I was helping her out, trained her and everything. And eventually one day she asked me, "Can I give her a ride home from work?" And I said, "Yeah, cool." So I took her home from work, and that was that. Took her home, took her home from work. Next day, she said, "Would you be able to take me home again?" I was like, "Cool, cool." So I noticed for like probably like a week or two, she kept pulling that. So I said,
Okay.
yeah. So I said, so I basically I had to cut that out. What I'm saying? I had to cut that out.
Oh,
I
okay.
know I had to cut that out because one thing I noticed is that now I didn't want nothing from you and all that, but
Mhm.
no, I'm just saying no gas money was offered. No, that was just all, and I was going out of
Wait.
my way. No, I mean, that was ever. No, I didn't want. Let me clear, not sex, no sex. Didn't want that, but
Okay.
so it wasn't that. It's like this is a person like wow, because a user don't have no limits. So I'm like, because you saw me being nice, helping you at work, and you think like, okay, wait a minute now, you can't make this a habit now. I'm going way out
This
of my.
wasn't never like, "Oh, let's get something to eat," or "Let's run by the"
No, it was just like, and then he's like, I mean, I'm like, wow, I'm like, so eventually I cut that out, and it's like she was angry at me. Like after that, we
Mm,
eventually we didn't speak no more at work, because I stopped that. When I had to learn that some people say, oh, that's you probably did want. No, I really didn't. But it's just like
mhm,
some
mhm.
people will look at your kindness as a weakness, and like you gotta let people know, set boundaries up, like you're not gonna use me, So and sometimes, that's one thing I had to learn just by being kind. Some people look at kindness, okay, this person is weak. Some people would appreciate that, like, okay, well, her it was just like she just made it a habit, like, I mean, what you think about that?
Yeah, I've had some coworkers. It wasn't, the other sex or anything like that. It was asked for rides, homes, and things like that. More than once or twice, it does kind of seem like, oh, okay, something's going on. You know, um, yeah, and a lot of times people don't offer to give you anything. That's why, like, if it's, maybe if you were like, oh, let's get something to eat, they'll, maybe they'll cover you or something like that in exchange for the gesture or something like that. Um, and, yeah, I mean, like you kind of give yourself like, okay, once, twice, fool me once, fool me twice, type of thing. But yeah, I can relate to that. um Going back to people coming into your life for seasons, I know that kind of reminds me of like making friends on the job. I've had a lot of girlfriends, acquaintances, sister friends that I've acquired during different places of employment that I spent time at. And I know one time I like cried real tears when it was like her last day, one lady that I was friends with. Cause I mean, you really do kind of, especially like being in corporate America
Yeah.
as, you know, black folks, it's kind of
Oh
nice to
yeah.
have an
Oh yeah.
ear or, a shoulder when you're kind of going through those kind of, just stresses or whatever that only other people that's in it can understand or what have you. And, so it's, yeah. And I remember thinking, like, I'm up here crying, like, like somebody going to war or something like that. It's like, oh, we can still be friends, but it's just not going to be the same because you used to, like, I've had people like, we eat lunch together every day and like we have our whole little routine. And then, well, that was like pre-pandemic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
pandemic kind of changed all of that. Actually, had a co-worker friend and we kind of experienced the pandemic together. So it was kind of like, okay, what is this thing? We got to come to work wearing these masks. And then it's like, going to you got some toilet paper. I found some toilet. You know what I mean? When people was like, it was hard to find toilet paper and things like that. And let's go on our grocery run. And, oh, they got, supply when the shelves were bare and things like that. So, going through things like that with certain people, you do build a bond, and then, people change jobs, and it's different now, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, and I in that aspect I can understand with your friends because you can still be friends, but this is somebody who like we generally talk, but this is somebody who came in and like I say seasonal, like okay, wasn't even friends, wasn't really just coworkers, but
Hmm.
you saw me and talking about you saw me talk, you heard me talk about a few things, and you made this a habit, and it's like okay, I gotta end this, so because a user doesn't have limits. I even talk with people before I like said no, I can't do that no more, and to make sure I wasn't tripping, make sure I was like, wait man, you don't think I'm tripping? I'm like, no, I don't think you tripping. I was talking to my mom. She's like, well, you gotta cut it out, because like his users don't have a limit, so you gotta say so.
Mm.
But sometimes I'm just making sure I'm not being a bad person or evil person, and that's something I had to learn through years too. That it doesn't make you a bad person when you set up boundaries. It doesn't make you a bad person when you say no. Because people that don't say no, they get used all the time, and people that don't say no, they'll people still don't like those people either. So
That's true.
you're never gonna do nothing to make everybody like you. You have to be comfortable enough to know that there's some people that's not gonna like you. Some people don't like me because I'm black. Some people don't like
Hmm.
me because I'm a man. Some people don't like me
Hmm.
because I'm a black man. Some people don't like me because I want peace. Some people don't like me because I don't talk about my business with everybody. And you got to be
Hmm.
okay with that. You got to everybody got to find their community. And I just got to realize those people are not a part of my community. And I don't mean community in the sense of necessarily being ethnic wise. I mean community as far as people I commune with, people I can grow with. So that's one of those
Right.
things I realized that you had to cut that off. And that's just one. That's like the dealing with the opposite sex. I had
Hmm.
people I was friends with, like brotherhood, and I had to realize that
Hmm.
a person you think is your friend is not really your friend. And sometimes you see things through the years, but you want to see the good in people. Like you question yourself sometimes. And I think it stems from childhood, those wounds from childhood when you doubt
Hmm.
yourself. You question things like maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And you got people that's gaslighting and playing games, make you think you're crazy. Like maybe you just think,
Ooh.
you have people thinking like, okay, when you say that something they doing is bothering you, man, you being sensitive, man, you being weak, you be like, you a man, you supposed to you handle this and all that. So sometimes, like a lot of times as men, especially black men, we be like, yeah, maybe I am tripping, man. Like it's not okay for us to have feelings, but we only human like everybody else. So I had to learn through some of these friends that sometimes these friends aren't really your friends, or they aren't the
Hmm.
friend that you are to them. And in particular, like an incident. Like I remember when a situation was, excuse me, was going good for me after going through so much, and I remember, a friend going through a hardship, and how that friend just came at me with so much anger when they was going through something. But I was always there for them when they was going through something. But I realized when I started coming up out of the problems I was going through, and they went through something, they just lashed out at me like they was angry at me for doing better or for getting better. And they wanted me to suffer with them. But that changed things for me in particular with a couple friends when I realized that like a person is not really a friend. They want you to be miserable just like them. And one thing I learned is moving forward is to avoid unhappy people, to avoid miserable people, gossipers, and you'll get a sense of peace like that. And so I've had it in relationships with people I thought was my brothers as well, and sometimes even with people you relate to by blood, you set up certain boundaries that you love them, but you gotta love them from a distance. But
Yes.
like, have you ever had like a friendship, like like a sisterhood or whatever that you knew you had to end this? Like you gave them the benefit of the doubt, but was it one incident like it was for me? You realized like, okay, this person is not really my friend. This person does not really mean well. I don't know if this person ever really was my friend like that.
Yeah, definitely. And shout out to boundaries, right? I mean, it takes a lot of I know maybe just for me in my personality type, I'm not gonna say it's hard, but it's necessary and you have to kind of develop your own way to set boundaries. You mentioned having someone that made you feel that just have those questions about
Yeah,
your origins of your friendship. So I did have one good girlfriend from what grade school you would say, and then that transition of being like grade school friends and all of those stuff you go through in high school and teenage years and coming into adulthood and things like that. Everybody doesn't go through that journey the same way. And so obviously I don't want to say that she wasn't my friend because of this, but the reason why I really kind of like had to put distance because I feel like my safety got kind of compromised. We all have some friends that do like, or I'm gonna say we all have friends that may have been into some bad stuff that
absolutely.
you shouldn't do. You're gonna say something?
No. I was saying absolutely. I agree with what you
Hmm.
said, and like one thing I also learned is that the main thing is you have to know yourself.
Hmm.
And I, like I said, as I talked to you on previous podcast episodes we did before, I started to, really change at, I say age 14 when I started to get knowledge of self and started to get, serious about my community and serious about everything health, mental, spiritual, and emotional. You know, healing myself in all kinds of ways. And it wasn't until years later that I realized I still had a lot more work to do. But I can tell you what one thing that can help you avoid a lot of problems. The necessary endings are like in any relationship is gonna be a part of life. It could be somebody you're in love with, y'all just go in different directions, y'all decide to want different things. It could be a friend that you close with, you decide that you're gonna, take this route to work. They're gonna take another route to work. You want to do the legit way, they want to do it the illegal way. And it's like,
Hmm.
okay, I love you, but I can't really be around you because if I'm riding in the car with you, you might have something illegal in there. Police stop me, stop you. We both in trouble, or you might have a beef in the streets. And if somebody see you, they see me, they're not gonna leave no witnesses. So it's just different paths. So what I
Hmm.
learned is that when you know who you are and things are not you, and this goes against what you believe in, or you're diametrically opposed to certain things. Like
Hmm.
me, I say I'm a very spiritual brother. What I realize is that if I move a certain way, like if I say I'm not going to hang in a certain area because certain activity go on, and
Hmm.
somebody tell me I'm acting soft, or a brother tell me, you know, oh, you being too cautious, you being You being too, you acting like a sucker or something like that. I had to realize that no, this is just not the kind of cat I can hang with.
Okay.
Because I know me, and I know I don't want to go in that environment, not because I'm a sucker, not because I'm just overly cautious, not because I know that's not conducive to me. I know I don't feel good in those environments. I don't feel secure in those environments.
Mhm.
Or you telling me to, I should deal with women a certain way, and I say, okay, that's not my style. Or I should be doing this with this woman or that woman, just because. But if I say I don't, that's not how I move. That's not how I move. And what you got to understand is, a true friend will understand that. Okay, I respect my friend boundaries. You, my friend, and I respect where you're coming from. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't get high. Oh man, well, come get high, man. Come get. I don't do that, bro. Why not? You can't smoke. You can't drink with me. No, I don't need to get high. I don't need to get drunk to have fun. That's not my style. I can have fun and be clear-minded. I can have fun. I can have a good time at a party without drinking, without smoking. Now, if that's all you're gonna do, then I realize, oh, that's a necessary ending right there. We can't really hang with each other like that because
Right.
we do different things. And you look at me like, if I'm not doing that, then I'm not your friend. But a true friend will respect your boundaries. A true friend will understand, okay, you're my friend, and I can't do this or that with you. And if I'm doing this or that with you, doing this or that, then I know not to come around you because that's not something that you do. So when you know yourself, when you know what you stand for, what you're about, and you got somebody trying to get you to deviate from that, excuse me, then that's probably one of those relationships that might require a necessary ending. Like, I'm about this, I'm not about that. I want to get mine the legit way. You get yours the legal way. No, I'm not better than you. No, I'm not looking down on you. None of those things. It's just that's not my world. That's your world. So we just might have to go our separate ways. Or you in a relationship, you're in a marriage, and you with a person. Okay, you have bigger dreams. You working a job, and you say, okay, I've been here long enough. I want to try this entrepreneurship thing out. I built my skills up here. It's like you've been for example, say you're a lawyer. You're a lawyer at a big corporate firm. You got enough skills, you got enough experience. I want to start my own firm. Your partner's like, why? You already got enough money. Why you want to do this? We good here. And you say you do have savings or something like that, but they just very against you going in a different direction. They're not supporting you though. But that's all along that was my goal. But see, you're secure, and that's cool. But I want to try something different. Sometimes even situations like that, like they could ruin relationships, ruin marriages, because you want to try something different. And that doesn't mean that your partner is necessarily a bad person. You probably then went as far as you would go with that particular person. I'll give you an example. Like, a lot of the sisters not gonna like this example. I don't want to use this. Like the show Power. I don't know if you ever watched that, but I look at, and I remember when Angela came back in Ghost's life, and I remember a scene when he was in the closet with Tasha, and he asked her, "What did you ever see me being?" She said the biggest drug dealer in New York. He was like, nothing more than that. He's like, nothing more than that. And she's like, no, stop, relax, and all that. But I remember him being in the club, showing Angela his club early on, and saying he said I had dreams to open stuff up in Miami. I mean, another club in Miami and places like that. And he said, oh, you'll get there. Now it's those. Now I understand. Now I understand. It's like as a married man, like I'm saying, that was the past. No, I guess I could say he was wrong for opening up that door, even but I looked at it like, okay, that was a childhood friend, but it wasn't just a childhood friend; it was his first love. So you saw her in the club first and foremost. I want to get off the topic. You saw her in the club first and foremost. And you left, but then he did come back and say, give me a number or whatever, just catch up and all that. She didn't do that. I get that part. I'm just saying, we don't realize sometimes that the necessary endings are because something that's happening with one of the parties not growing and stuff like that. Because you have some men, I'm gonna say some men I know who will try to keep a woman's self-esteem low. They try to keep a woman's self-esteem low in order to keep her, thinking that'll make her stay. Okay, ain't nobody else gonna want you. But on the flip side, you make it easier for another man to come there and build your woman up and make her attractive to him. You know what I'm saying? So that happens
Mm.
a lot. And you think you keeping her self-esteem low to control. No, you actually making it easier for another man who come here and build her up and encouraging her to make her emotionally attached to you and emotionally attached to him. No, I'm kind of getting off the subject a little bit, but talking about but get back to power. But when he said that scene, like, okay, nothing more than that, and she said no, you know, it was like, how can I grow if my partner, how can I be with my partner if my partner doesn't see my vision or believe in me?
Right.
This new person believes in me and sees it that way. It's not that you evil or dirty person. And I don't necessarily agree with some things that he did. You know, when sometimes there's going to be endings in relationships. There's some people who be together for 20 years and then they reach that point where they say, like, man, we kind of like growing apart. We went as far as we could go. And
Oh,
that happens.
totally.
That happens. But what do you think about that? Like that scene in particular with Ghost and Tasha in the closet.
Yeah, it was very telling because I want to say that was one of the maybe the first or second episodes,
Yeah, yeah,
kind of setting the
yeah,
scene up for what's to come. Yeah, they go way back and they have history, but like you said, as you go through these different journeys in life, you evolve, and if your partner is not on the same page or doesn't see the vision for where you intend to take your journey, down the road, then it's a problem, for sure. And so, of course, you should honesty should be the best policy, and you should be open about
yeah,
these things. Like, hey, this, something ain't right.
yeah,
I
yeah,
can't do this no more. And a lot of times, believe it or not, you can bring that honesty to some people, and they cannot accept it, and they act like they won't accept it. You know what I mean? But I wish he would have been more honest
yes,
about his path with her. And I think, we may know the reason why he
yeah,
wasn't or what have you, because, he kind of needed her to play her position,
yeah,
while he is involved in certain things. And
yes,
then, she knows, certain things, and to, have her be at odds, could, mean negativity for the business and stuff like that. So, but
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so like that example, like, and for the women, so I know you got women views as well. For they say, oh, he's a man, he's using that example. It's another example, like with the Madam C.J. Walker story, where she outgrew her husband.
Okay.
So that's an example right there, and that's so so I'm looking at it both ways. I just use that. So I don't want the women to think, oh, he's just saying that 'cause he's a man. No, I'm looking at it
Yeah.
from both ways. Like sometimes you can outgrow people. And then another thing I noticed about that episode is that when legit was going legit, how he showed her, okay, like, baby, we got to dress a little differently. Like you the lady, the first lady
Mm,
of the club. It's all those things, but that's all she know, all she knew. So sometimes what
right.
we gotta realize is that you gotta take people for who they are. Sometimes, like I would say this: most people, to me, don't really grow like significantly. Significantly,
Hmm.
I think a lot of people will grow to a certain extent, and then that's just enough for them. I don't think people constantly grow. Most people, that is. That's why I think a lot of times, sometimes we outgrow people because I don't think everybody constantly are growing like in a constructive way. That is. I think,
Yeah.
so I'm like forever growing. I'm forever changing, always trying to learn something constructive, accept the truth, no matter what it might be. And some people, that's uncomfortable for them. They rather be comfortable with, ignorance is bliss, or just I'm comfortable now. I don't do no more than this. This is good for me. And you know, I don't think most people continuously grow. I think some people get to a certain stage. I know this and that's that. I'm grown now. I don't need to hear this. That they just close they mind to things. And what my cousin told me when I was young, he said, once you cut off people, you cut people off. Sometimes you cut yourself off. He didn't mean like,
Mm,
he didn't mean like cutting people off like that bad people out your life. He said sometimes when you just like disregard people and just, you know,
hmm.
uh, don't want to hear what they got to say or try to overtalk them. Sometimes you might be cutting your blessings out.
Right. And like you said, that some people don't see anything further than what they already, have wrapped their mind around. Shout out to people who still believe and dream,
Yeah,
at any age,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Or, change careers late
yeah,
in, life or whatever. I mean, look at Barack Obama, he finish college at a later point in his life than most people. Most people are in their 20s and things like that. He
Yeah.
was late 30s,
Mhm.
pursuing college, and had a partner that understood that and supported him, as she, study her studies too. They're at different stages in their life, but still, just being on the same wavelength with somebody just kind of shows you, what can happen, the greatness that, came later in his
Yeah.
career, even as a writer, a speaker, even before the politics thing happened for him. So yeah, and there's a lot of artists and
Yeah.
actors that have started their career, right at their 40s and things like that. So it's never too late. I always kind of say I wish I started this podcasting thing at a certain particular part in my life, but that's okay. You know what I mean? And I'm
Mhm.
not done dreaming yet. So, shout out
Don't
to
ever be. Don't ever
those.
be.
Yeah.
And one more thing I wanted to say, like, because I use shows because I know we have like a similar audience in some respects. I use the shows because that's something we, people know about, and it's more find it more relatable. Okay, now I see what he's saying. So like even the TV series, which I actually still like that a lot. The Shy. When you look
Hmm.
at season 2 of The Shy, I don't know if you remember the guy Brandon, who was the chef, and
Hmm.
his girlfriend Tiffany. How they was from different. He was from the hood. She kind of grew better off, and sometimes they
Right.
clash because they view things differently. Like how she viewed things from upper middle class, or like a perspective he had of things coming from the hood. So his perspective was a little different on things, and they tried to
Hmm.
work it out. They was trying to work it out, but eventually, what happened? It didn't really work out for those two. So I mean, like at least when the season was ending, like they paths was pretty much diverged. So it's just like,
Right.
I mean, it happens, I mean, now, and another example, a positive example, it's a black marriage. Black people that still marry a black man with a black woman. The
Hmm.
director, Ryan Coogler, the one created,
Hmm.
Fruitvale Station. He said when he
Hmm.
was in school, he decided to, he was going to do a film school and everything. And his wife brought him the filming equipment. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So she invested in him. When he say when they
Yeah.
she invested in him, and they still together doing their thing, and their brother's rich now. So,
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying? So she believed in him. Like so. For him, like it probably don't make no sense for to have no other woman beside him, but the woman that believed in him. So
Definitely.
and that makes sense right there. So she that was not necessarily in it. That was that's a necessary continuation.
True, but shout out to, like, mentioned, having those boundaries, and knowing what your mission is and your journey is. If someone is not congruent with that, recognizing those things, and it's never too late to start over. If you have to, pack a bag and roll out, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
do that.
sure. I'm sure you gotta find your purpose, gotta find your mission. And everybody's mission and purpose is different. Some
Definitely.
people will go out your life and never come back. Some people you might reconnect with later on. That happens with love,
Mhm.
that happens
Mhm.
with friendships, that happens with family.
That's true. I had, in our notes, a segment to touch on check on your strong friends and the importance of doing so, kind of a mental health check in. What do you think about that?
That's 100% again. Because
Yeah.
I look at in particular in my life, I look at my mother, and I look at both of my
Mhm.
grandmothers in particular. And I just always know they was so giving to everybody. They were so always trying to be there, always trying to listen to their friends' problems, helping family members out, letting people move in, uh, giving people food, just always
Mhm.
doing things for people and caring about people. And I said, observing as a teenager, I said that I would never let people do me the way my mother and my grandmothers let people do them. And I
Mm.
said that, and I didn't realize till I got older that in some ways I did those same things. So when I'm saying check on your strong friends, I realized that what my mom and my grandmothers did, they give so much to so many people that they
Mhm.
gave so little to themselves. And my mom is still alive, for example. Both my grandmas passed
Mhm.
on, but
Mm.
they gave so much to people but they didn't get too much of themselves. And I know when they went through hardships, or it was finances, or relationships and stuff like that, all those people they had help was nowhere to be found.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my mother telling me, she told her mother these things about that. And I got up some sizes and I told my mother and I told my other grandmother was still alive these same things. And I kind of remember both of them saying, like, it ain't in them to say no. I said, what you mean? You gotta have, I know it ain't in me to say no. They'll say that, but then they back doing that. And what you realize is, like, when someone got sick, a lot of people weren't there for them. When someone went through hardships, pain, just needed somebody to talk to, nobody was there. They always had excuses. And so I said, when you the strong friend, you got to remember one thing. No matter how strong you are, everybody got a boiling point, everybody got a breaking point, no matter how strong you are. And it's important for people that's always giving to people. Remember, first and foremost, you got to give to yourself. Because you give to all these people, then what you got to give to yourself. And you can't flourish when you got leeches on you. You can't flourish.
You can't pour from an empty cup either, right?
Pour from an empty cup. That's like trying to fill a cup up with a hole in it.
Yes.
So you can't do that. So I tell anybody that's always giving and always trying to help people out, activists or people that's just big on family, you gotta have time for yourself, and you gotta have time to rest and get relief. And it's okay to say no. And anybody that get mad about you telling them no, after you say yes all the time, they was never really your friend. They never really cared for you like that in the first place. You was just somebody they can use. You somebody they can manipulate. And people love you as long as they can use you. But when they don't need you no more, you probably won't hear from them no more. That's like you got some of these family members. We grew up in the era of the Black community. We were on the age where we still grew up with that blood was sticking in water then. And I say this, my family is people that got my back, and I got their back, whether they blood or not. Relatives are people I'm just related to by blood. That's why. So I upset that I changed up that type of thing, the type of adages we was brought up on. If I got a friend that got my back, more so than a blood relative, I'm gonna be there for that friend more. Now, when it change things with that friend change up on me. Or if I'm like that with that friend, but when that friend relative who don't really care about them, they help that friend more so they're willing to help me, that's when that changed with that friend. Okay, I see how you dealing with it. You still on the blood that's thicker than water thing. I'm not on that. I'm on who got my back, whether they blood or not. So that changed how I would deal with them. But like with the strong friends, you gotta have time for yourself. A lot of therapists have therapists. And you wonder why a lot of therapists have therapists? Because they take on a lot of energy. You get all kind of energy you're dealing with. So you gotta have some kind of way to relieve yourself and get away. So that's like me. I'm a podcaster and everything, but sometimes I have to take breaks. Because life is me. I'm not Superman. I'm only human, and that's what Black Man Talk is about. I say it's a place for Black men to be human, but all of us are human, and because all of us are human, we all need help because none of us made it alone. We all need somebody. Everybody needs somebody, no matter how strong you are.
Definitely. I appreciate the messages that you shared on Black Men Talk and hope that you bring it back soon. It's really good platform there.
Oh yeah, I'm back now though. I'm back. I just recently came. I'm back now though.
Yeah. Good. Glad to hear that. As we round out our conversation, what are some good ways to deal or cope with? You mentioned taking a break. That could be one. What are some other ways?
Some good ways I would say is to get some sleep. I know some people don't understand that, but some of us been on the ground for so long, been working so hard for so long that we never get any rest, and people undermine how important rest is. It's so important. I know you hear the people saying, "I sleep when I die." No, I'm sleep while I'm alive too. I know that's the hustlers. Where they saying, "Oh, I'm gonna sleep when I die, man. I'm sleep." Okay, you sleep when you die, but when you die, I don't know if that's sleep. That's dead. But I'm
Right.
gonna sleep while I'm alive, so I can be retooled and refueled and have energy to go off and be my best self. So I say sleep is very, very important. A lot of people run on fumes. That's why a lot of people antsy and angry and all kind of reasons. So I think sleep is definitely one of those things. Also, I recommend is being around positive people. When I mean positive people, it's people that's always trying to do something constructive. People that's trying to do something meaningful. People who trying to, let's say, make a living without trying to hurt people.
Okay.
Who trying to do things to make better humanity or better themselves, and they ain't trying to take advantage of people all the time. Because I think a lot of people use the word synonymously, like hustler. They use a hustler and a finesser is two different things to me.
Oh.
Like, a hustler is like I'm serious though. A hustler is somebody who okay, I'm doing Lyft, I'm doing Uber. Aside from working my professional job, okay, I'm even making T-shirts on the side. Occasionally, I sell hats, I sell candy, but then you got the the finessers who might be doing some of these things, but they might have a friend that they're taking advantage of. Like, hey, look, man, I just need to, I need a few dollars because I ain't got no money right now. I just need a few dollars to get this or that. But they got it in their bank. They just don't want to spend their own money. So those type of people, like they you got people like that they finesse. You got people that know you love them. They know you their friend. They know you their brother, and you decide to help them with their business. And you think, okay, man, this is my friend, this is my sister, this is my brother. They won't do me wrong. But all along, they paying you less than what you deserving of, and they got it. Or when they pay other people who don't really got it back more than they pay you. I'm saying it depends on you have hustlers, but then you have those finessers, the people that try to take advantage of you by saying we hustling because you might be green or you might just love them, you might care about them. So I think positive energy people that mean well by you. So you need sleep, you need positive people that mean well by you. I would say also reading. I'll say start doing some reading, some self-help books. We ain't the first people to go through what we done went through. Humanity for millions of years. It's things that was wrote 500 years ago. Like, damn, that still applies to today. So learn about people. It's always better to learn, as I said, from the mistakes of others than to make those mistakes on your own. So
Definitely.
But it is some mistakes that you will have to make on your own because you don't understand things until you experience it. I read a lot. I was a heavy reader, a voracious reader. But it wasn't until I got older and I actually experienced some things. I was like, nah, I know what that book was talking about. Now I know what they meant. So I say you get you some sleep, surround yourself around positive people, positive-minded people. When you got a good idea, okay, they encourage you. They encourage you for your good idea. Okay, say, hey, do it, man. Take a shot at it. And other people said, that ain't going to work. That ain't going to do this work. There's people, you don't need to hear those type of people.
Right.
So, and then and third, read, learn, grow. Like Nas said, read more, learn more, change the globe. So I think those are things. You need to get some sleep. You got to rest. You got to get you some rest. You got to have positive people around you. Good energy, because that's energy is so important because that's all we are anyway. We vessels. So you got to have good energy. And always continue to learn. Never stop learning. So those are some of the things I would learn to get weight. Oh, and probably more so anything, like it's therapy. Because I got therapy.
Yeah.
Therapy is essential. I did therapy for a whole year, and most likely I'm gonna go back. And I found it very very fulfilling because I was dealing with things subconsciously that I thought I wasn't dealing with no more. I thought I was healed, and I realized there was still things from my childhood that affected how I dealt with people in relationships, romantically, and in friendships and in family. It's times that I was thinking that I didn't care about being in a relationship with a lady because I said I'm good on my own. But then I realized I got in one, a series when I realized that I had wanted to be wanted, and without even realizing that, I was like, and then I look back at my childhood, I realized that I was always trying to heal the women in my family, and I ended up being in relationships with women I was trying to heal, and a lot of them trying to in the process of trying to heal them and make them better, not control them. I'm saying like make them better, encourage them to do great things and things they was wanted to do. A lot of them end up hating me, and which was weird to me, So and I realized that like through all that, like it was me wanting to be wanted, wanting to be a part of something. That's the reason I was letting people use me, or some friends, some women, and and I'm glad that I went through therapy and I realized I was like, yeah, man, all alone I was saying I was good, I was cool and all that. I can do it solo dolo or whatever. But I realized I wanted to be a part of something, I wanted to be wanted. But I realized going through those, relationships and going through therapy that I realized that I'm enough. But I realized I'm enough, like when I got somebody, I don't have somebody. I don't need nobody to make me feel fulfilled.
Wow, that's great.
I have to fulfill myself first and foremost. And when you heal yourself first and foremost, and you know that you're enough, then it's okay to have somebody, and it's okay not to have somebody. And if that person go, you're still gonna be okay. But if that person stay, you still be good. So that's what helped me with it. Just helped me to know that I was enough, and that I need to work on those things from my childhood that I know I was dealing with. But it worked wonders for me, because now I know I'm enough for sure, and I cut off those people that made me know well. And I can tell you firsthand, when you got a strong spirit, at least from my experiences, that's when a lot of blessings started coming in for you. Because the minute I started cutting out those people, I started feeling better. People started telling me I'm better than I ever looked. I just looked happy. I was glowing, and a lot of opportunities came through for me. So sometimes you gotta cut that dead weight. And I talk about that was one of my earliest podcasts on Black Man Talk. I was talking about cutting dead weight, episode 3, and I still had dead weight on me at the time I did that podcast. And it wasn't until years later, almost 3.5 years later, that I got those dead weights off of me and I'm flourishing. So sometimes we know better, but don't do better because sometimes we unaware that we aren't doing the best we can either. But through therapy, I realized that a lot that, I had to heal from childhood wounds and that, I'm enough, and that's pretty much why those 4 things I recommend, positive energy people, learning, therapy, and what was that? There was one more thing, sleep. Those
Definitely,
things.
Yeah. Awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. I'm glad that your journey is going well because, we know very well. I mean, just from, watching the news and just going through life that everybody doesn't, handle the pressures of life in the same way. And it can be a lot. It really can.
Yes, it can be.
So I think it's important to talk about these types of things that, are good ways to deal and cope. And then also to kind of reflect back on, what went well with this relationship, looking back, like we just did, what happened with that, and so you can grow and learn from it and move on. So.
Yeah. And the beauty of it all is like the beautiful thing that I can say about my sojourn and the things that I went through thus far in this life, even when I, like 25 for me is like the age I say when I started to open up to the wrong people. And that's weird. It was like at 25 because you've been on that trajectory for so long. People say like, oh, maybe you need to learn how to have a little fun. Maybe you should do this, man. You too uptight or, maybe loosen up a little bit. And that's when I started opening up to people and who's some things they did was diametrically opposed to how I was living and stuff like that. And I realized that's when where the problems came in. That's when those real leeches came in. And, that's when the wrong women came in particular. That's when the wrong friends came in. But the weird thing about that is that I also met good people that's still a part of my life at that time. So it was weird because it was like I saw the good people and then I had the people that, that didn't necessarily mean well. And so it's kind of like you had the angel right here or the God right here and the devil on this side. And I knew what was right, but I said, people keep saying this, maybe I am cutting people off a little too early on in my life. Maybe maybe I'm not giving the women enough a chance. And then when I started dealing with them, opening up to them, I realized that I was right all along. And I was like, when you know yourself, that's why I said, when you know yourself, you know better, you know something that's not your style. Don't deviate from that. Because some people haven't come back from that. Some people lost their life from deviating. Some people in
Yes.
prison for the rest of their life. So I said, you know your purpose, stay on your purpose. Some things you may not see as rewarding early on. It pays off in the end. So the beautiful thing about that is I'm glad when I did deviate somewhat, and I never went too far, but I did deviate somewhat. I'm glad I did that because now I know that I was on the right path all along. So and I wouldn't have knew that if I never deviated from that.
True, definitely. And you mentioned your platform, Black Man Talk. Tell us how people can find that, and then also remind us of your book project. And I know there's a new book project that's pending. You could share
Yes.
about that.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jen. Well, my podcast is called Black Man Talk. It's one word, not black men. It's Black Man Talk. One word. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on other social media platforms as well. My book is called Black Boy Rise. It's a memoir about my life. I'm a Detroit native, a proud Detroit native, born and raised, and talks about my upbringing, in the city of Detroit and everything I went through, everything that a lot of men go through. Some things in there, some people say, I don't know if I would have told, but for me, it was therapeutic to put my life out there. It was therapeutic for me. And you'll find anything you really think of in that book about a young black man growing up in the city of Detroit and dealing with all the tough things you have to deal with growing up in a city like that, in an environment like that. And I have a new book, that will be released this year. I have the name, but I don't want to release the name just yet. But it'll be my first novel.
Okay.
And I look forward to coming on here discussing it in the future with Jen, when it comes out. She supported me with my first book, my book, Black Boy Rise. But it'll be my first novel, and I think it's going to be something that's very relatable. It's something that, a lot of people could go through, and it's going to show what a person is made of, pretty much. So that's a little bit I can give you about the novel, but it'll be
Okay.
definitely out this year.
Awesome. And so, yeah, I will have the link to where people can find the book. I see it's still out on Amazon. Just check that out.
Yes.
So I have my copy, and it's a good read. So we'll definitely share that link as well as the link to Black Man Talk. I'm sorry I said it wrong. Yeah, so I'm glad that you'll be bringing that content back and bring back the Sisters Week.
You're right. Okay. Well, that's gonna be in the works though. That's gonna be in the works. But I
Okay.
enjoyed that because it was important to have, the sisters on there. So how I
Yeah,
feel.
that was pretty
You know how
cool.
I feel about the sisters. I love y'all. You know that.
Yeah. Okay. So something to look forward to, guys. Anything else to share, Trey?
No, just everybody that's listening, and just know that the sky's the limit, and just know, like, for healing, just know that it's okay not to be okay sometimes.
Mm,
Just understand that internalizing everything is just like, okay, I can handle this, I can handle it, and especially for black men and black women, our people, because black men and black women, we definitely are each other's counterpart naturally. And
hmm
black women get caught up in the being a strong black woman thing, the Amazon, I can do all this. And black men get
Yeah.
caught up in being this hardcore black man. I don't need nobody. I can handle that. We both doing the
Right.
same thing, but we realize that we need each other. Naturally, we need each other. And we need help. We need help. We need to support each other instead of competing with one another. But if you out there, just get healing. And just, even if you lie to everybody around you, at least when you lay down tonight, be real with yourself. And know
Okay.
that. That's what I just say.
I love that. That's
Mhm.
awesome. Definitely find your tribe, guys. It's some really, whatever your thing is, if it's thrifting or crafting, comic books, anime, whatever. There are other people who are really, going through that journey just as you are. And, even if it's through social media or virtually or maybe right in your own town, can build community with these folks and, maybe learn some things and, bounce ideas off each other, things like that. So, yeah, for sure. I appreciate what Trey has shared. You're welcome here anytime. We look forward to your upcoming projects
Thank you.
and just chopping it up again on some other things. So yeah, we'll be in touch. So we appreciate you guys for listening. If you made it this far, I always forget. Please subscribe, like, share, tell a friend. And we appreciate you guys for checking us out and supporting. So everybody take care.
All right, peace.
At this time, we're going to go ahead and conclude the episode. We greatly appreciate you listening. We invite you to follow us on social media. On Instagram, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. On Twitter, it is Woke by. On Facebook, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. We also have the new website up, www.wokebyaccident.net. Please check us out and also follow us on all of your favorite streaming platforms, and please leave a review and share feedback. You can also reach out by Gmail, wokebyaccident@gmail.com. And every time you listen, we appreciate it so much. Thank you for listening and take care.